Welcome to the Supernatural Strength Podcast, everybody. We appreciate you guys rocking with us to this point. We are at our 5th episode, and for new podcasts, that's really a milestone episode because a lot of podcasts, they don't make it beyond 5 episodes. So we're still here. We're still rocking and rolling. The show is growing, and we appreciate you guys for, listening, for sharing the feedback, and it's only driving us to be better, to give more deep info to you guys, and really just create the number one podcast in this space because we're trying to change lives here. This isn't a podcast, it's a movement. I just got some new merch for those of you who are watching on YouTube. So definitely we're going to get some merch out to you guys. I'm pretty excited. And, big things are coming, and we need 2 things to make that happen. First, God's will. We're very grateful for that, but also you all, the audience, right? Because we cannot have this movement alone. So we really appreciate you guys for rocking with us, and it's just going to keep growing and going to keep getting better, guys. So stay tuned. And Cory, how you feeling today, bro?
Doing good, man. Summer solstice is the first day of summer, vine time, vine season. With it being the first day of summer, my biggest message right now to people is just holding the light, keeping the light. There's so much going on in the world, but as believers, we shouldn't be surprised. It's really all about operating within our space and within what we've been called to do. No fear whatsoever. Hold the light, keep on moving, man. And that's how I'm going into summer this year, man.
Hey, I love it. No fear. It's interesting you say that because I have been on like a military kick here recently. I watched the documentary on Netflix about how they found bin Laden, and listening to those special ops soldiers, it just really got me into a military mode. So I just been listening to all these special ops stories and listening to interviews, and I'm like, what really got me was the mindset piece. How some of those guys, they're like, yeah, we went into this mission expecting to die, and they still went at it 100% because the mission was bigger than themselves. And I love that mindset, and I love that mentality that you put the mission first, and being willing to die. And talks about in the scripture, right? Deny yourself, right? Deny thyself. Jesus said in the scripture, Jesus went on the cross for us, and just that embodiment is like, all right, this is the level I want to operate at as a spiritual warrior. And I don't want to speak for you, Cory, but I'm sure you got that same passion, the same intensity. So yeah, man. And we not running with fear around here. We got God's backing. We got the hedge of protection over us, and knowing that we can go in full go. We know we're armored up and we're ready for battle, and I just love it. And it's it's a beautiful thing, and we want to create more warriors in this space because it's needed. I was actually talking to my girl the other day about spirituality being tailored to women. And there's nothing wrong that we do need a nurturing side of spirituality, no doubt. But there's not enough warriors out here, right? Think about a lot of the prosperity gospel churches and, the spiritual space. And I can understand especially a Black man, we look at them like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like this is soft. Like, no, thank you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So bringing that toughness, that warrior masculine energy to this space, I think is going to lead a lot of men to where it's supposed to be, and that's back to Christ, right? Because I just think there's a mindset shift there, energetic shift that's needed. And me and Cory, being 2 strong Black men who are the complete opposite of soft, are going to be the face of this movement. And I'm excited about it. So yeah, it's funny you brought up fear, because it got me really thinking about what I've been studying in addition to the Bible. It's just the military ops, and it's so dope, man. So it's good stuff.
When we think about like our role as men, right? Like kingdom men, and we think about David, and we're going to talk about David a little bit today, King David. And you read about David, man, it's like David, like people don't understand, bro. When David went to go grab the stones to kill Goliath, people need to understand that he grabbed 5 stones. He wasn't just going to kill Goliath; he was going to kill his brothers too. And then when he killed Goliath, the Philistines had a belief to where unless you cut the head off of a giant, the giant comes back to life. And so he cut the head off Goliath with his own sword. However, he was a musician. He was a poet. He was a lover boy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to operate in both sides, your masculine energy and your feminine energy, because that's how we were created. It just so happens that we're 2 different species, but all within the same human energetic system. And so it's fine for people to express both sides and whatnot, but there is definitely a role that we have to play as kingdom men, and there's a role that kingdom women have to play as well too. No role is greater than the other, but both roles have their own separate attributes and resumes that come with it.
Absolutely.
And so there's certain specifications that each gender has, and so So yeah, we're just gonna do our best to operate within our role, operate within our calling, our duty, our birthright, like we talk about, and go about it that way, bro. So no, I feel you on that for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. So today we're just going to follow up a little bit from last week's episode. We're going to go deeper into sound and frequencies. Cory's got some really good tools for you guys to really help you armor up, as we talk about, but also use them, for other areas in your life too. It's not always about preparing for battle. Sound can be very healing, can be very therapeutic. It can help you focus. So, a lot of different things that you can use sound for. You just have to be aware of it. And we're going to go deep on that today. Cory's got some good stuff for you guys. So please take notes. Also, if you are rocking with us and you vibing with us, go ahead, make sure that you follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube, and share the message, guys. Somebody needs to hear this and help us spread the word. So take notes, share the episode. We appreciate you guys. And Cory, man, let's kick it off. Let's talk about that. We were talking before we got on about frequencies, right? And so,
Yes.
kind of what really was jumping out at you when you were preparing and taking your notes that you want to share with people today.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So first and foremost, when it comes to the topic frequencies is it's a very hot topic right now. I've been talking
Yeah.
about frequencies, and you've been on frequencies for 4 to 5 years now. I was
Mhm.
first introduced in 2021. Jimmy, when did you first start tapping into frequencies?
Around the same time, it was around like 2020, 2021, around, the deep parts of COVID is when I got
Right.
introduced to it.
And so that's when we have to realize that this topic right here is an ancient topic. I mean, it's science. Our reality is based off of sound, based off of energy, based off of frequency, based off of all these things. And we're just now in a society kind of uncovering that. The sports performance profession that we work in is really just now tapped into it, even though we've been talking about it for a number of years. And so
Mm-hmm.
the funny part about it though is like we hear the word frequency is like we think about a sound, but it's really harmonics. And the term harmonics is such a broad term throughout. And so we've been talking about the negative side of frequency and harmonics and that stuff. We're going to talk about today mostly the positive side. Like we know what bad music can do to you. We know what yeah, there's a war on frequency within our society, within our living space. But we're going to talk about the opposite of that today. We're going to shed a little bit of light on how powerful it really is. So we spend a lot of time on the negative side of it, but like I said, today music is powerful. We're going to talk about the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
And we see music used throughout the Bible. There's no doubt about it, right? Preparing for war, the walls of Jericho, like we talked about. I'm actually going to go to 1 Samuel right now, and we're going to talk about how literally David calmed Saul down when he had the evil spirit. So I'm going to go to 1 Samuel 16, verses 14 through 23, and I won't read the whole thing, but I'll kind of just bounce around a little bit. So 1 Samuel 16, starting at verse 14. I'm going to go ahead and read that now. And I'm reading from the NIV. Now, the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. Saul's attendant said to him, "See, an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. Let our Lord command his servants here to search for someone who can play the harp, specifically the harp." I want y'all to notice that. Okay. He will play when the evil spirit from God comes upon you, and you will feel better. So, first and foremost, we need to understand that his attendants knew that music had the power to soothe his spirit. Like people
Mm-hmm.
look over that right there. All right. They said right there, when the spirit from God comes upon you, and you will feel better after the harp is played. So it's not like, oh, let's just try this out and see what happens.
Right.
They knew right then and there. They knew right then and there. Okay, frequency has an impact on the spirit, on the human
Yeah.
spirit. Now, the interesting part about this is that God was the one who sent this tormenting spirit to Saul. And God was
Mm-hmm.
also the one who sent David to Saul. So the
Mm-hmm.
plan the whole time was to have David in the palace in the first place because he was the anointed king. And so
Yeah.
we get caught up in like how the Lord works behind the scenes and stuff like that. You just want to pay attention to that. It's pretty powerful. But anyway, going back to it, okay. So Saul said to his attendants, "Find someone who will play." And then boom, go down to verse 19. Then Saul sent messengers to Jesse, who was David's dad, and said, "Send me your son David, who is with the sheep." So Jesse took a donkey, loaded it with bread, a skin of wine, a young goat, and sent him to Saul. Okay. And then when you go all the way down to verse 23, it says, it's very powerful now. Whenever the Spirit from God came upon Saul, David would take his harp and play. Then relief would come to Saul. He would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. Now, for those who are kind of like, oh, music is woo woo, frequency is woo
Mm-hmm.
woo, let me tell you something. I don't know how many years ago this is, maybe 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, whatever the case may be. But in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 23, frequency is being used to calm the spirit. And for whatever reason, people don't think that doesn't exist today. Come on, man.
Right.
If sound was used for the king at the time to calm his spirit, you can hop on YouTube and find a frequency and calm yourself down. Okay, like this is how it works. All right. So, but first, let's actually break down energy, frequency, vibration, and all that type of stuff. Okay, and I'm just gonna break it down in one sentence right here. This is from a site, and I should have wrote it down, but I kind of lost it. But yeah, anyway, I'll read it right now. So vibration is a physical manifestation of energy at a particular frequency. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Vibration is the physical manifestation of energy at a particular frequency. So what I've noticed is a lot of times this vibration that it's talking about, it shows up as beautiful geometrical patterns, sacred geometry, flower of life, tree of life, like all this different type of stuff that we see in and around nature. That is a byproduct of vibration. Even if you look at plants, so we see it in nature, we see it within ourselves, we see it all throughout our world. So I want to introduce you to a word now, all right? And the word is called cymatics. And many people might have heard this word with cymatics. Yeah. And it's usually you could find videos on Instagram like people playing a sound with like a little bubble and like it makes like a pretty image or whatever. So what cymatics is the study of how sound and vibration manifest visually. If you want to a biblical example of cymatics, read Genesis 1. Genesis 1 is cymatics. Why? God spoke things into existence. All right. That was the physical manifestation of his vibration, the physical manifestation of the frequency that he was putting out. And just look all around you. Anything that's natural is a byproduct of cymatics and stuff that may be unnatural as well, too. All right. Why? It holds vibration. Here are some more examples. Your DNA, cymatic. Flowers. You look at a rose, man. A rose has a like the golden ratio, Fibonacci spirals, all that stuff. This is like God's math, God's geometry, man. This is divine stuff.
Right.
And we just look right past it. Like we step on flowers, we step on this. We don't hold anything sacred in our hearts. Therefore, we can't understand it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just want to revisit what I just said real quick because that just came to me right now. We don't hold things sacred enough in our hearts. Therefore, we can't understand it. When we begin to, man. When we begin to hold things sacred, then we begin to understand. But we cannot have understanding until we hold it as sacred. Okay, so
Right.
let's understand that there. All right. So examples: DNA, flowers. How about this? Like old church windows, cathedral windows. Those look like cymatics. Those look like
Yeah.
cymatics. Okay. So all of these are examples of sound manifesting visually. All right. And then like I just said, remember our whole universe was spoken to existence. Okay. Our whole universe is spoken to existence. So just moving on here. When we speak on sound therapy, frequency wars, vibrations, we need to understand that we are talking about the very makeup of our reality. All right. We are talking about the very makeup of our reality. Literally, according to cymatics, according to energy, frequency, vibration, when we speak about these things, all right, we are speaking about the makeup of our reality, harmonics. And so the pendulum, all right, is swinging either to create harmony or destroy it. Now we know that we serve a creator that is creating harmony. Everything is harmonics, like all the way down to the numbers, all the way down to the mathematical equations. Everything is within harmonics. And then we know that the enemy comes to do what? Kill, steal, and destroy by way of his tactics. When we look at it that way, it's like, wow, wait a second. That's why music is so powerful because you can destroy things with music. You can also create things with music. That's why sound is so powerful. Our voice, how we speak to ourselves is so powerful because we are either creating or destroying every single moment of the day. Our thoughts, our voice, our words. You look at the English language, man. The English language is a language of spells. And so of course we are manipulated all the time because there's no true, how do I put it? There's no true like extension in English. I saw a video recently. It was potatoes and tomatoes, right? And there's a certain way to spell the plural version, but then it's not the same case for like tornadoes. It's different. You know what I mean? So it's trippy stuff. So we need to be mindful of all these things when it comes to harmonics, when it comes to vibration, and all that type of stuff, man. I know I kind of went a few different directions, but do you have any questions so far, Jimmy, or anything like that?
No questions at all. I think you made a really good point when you had that drop in about holding something sacred in your heart. And honestly, that could be a whole topic within itself, but I think that's so true. And I think people really need to sit with that statement because when you hold something sacred, right? Think about what sacred means, right? It's like, again, when something's like really sacred, you value it. It's precious. You protect it. Most people, they don't take it to that level. So they take a lot of these things for granted, like sound, like music, even like intimacy, stuff like that. Things that once were sacred, now like on the internet, it's chaotic. and it's being used
Right.
against people, and they don't understand what's going on. So like understanding and taking, you know, full advantage of sound as something sacred will really change a lot of areas in your life. So I just really want to get people to understand that dropping that you had, because I feel like it's that powerful. But man, everything you said is making sense, brother. So what else you got for him?
Yeah, man. So I'll go now into you're completely right on all that. And speaking of sacred, I'll go into how crazy like musical keys are, key characteristics, all that type of stuff. It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere, let's see if we can find this real quick. But somewhere, it talks in Revelation. Jesus is talking about I hold the key of David. I'm not sure if does that scripture ring a bell to you?
I'm gonna look it up right now, so I'm sure we can
Yeah,
find
look
it.
that up, and then while you're looking that up, I'm just gonna keep on talking a little bit. And so, what we have to understand here is musical keys hold certain characteristics, emotional characteristics. Okay, first, did you find it?
Looking right now, I think I found it. Let me
Okay, read
see.
that
Are you
to me.
talking Revelation 3:7?
Yes, read that to me.
It says, "Write this letter to the angel of the church in Philadelphia. This is the message from the one who is holy and true, the one who has the key of David. What he opens, no one can close, and what he closes, no one can open." Is it
Okay,
that one?
now, yes, perfect. That's all I needed right there. So now, what I want the listeners to understand here is that when we read that verse, we automatically think of like a key unlocking a door.
Yeah.
But what if it's referring to a musical key, a vibrational key, a sound key,
Mm-hmm.
especially in reference to David, right? Like a lot of
Right.
people say the key of David is 444, the frequency of David.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. Like automatically our carnal minds go to Jesus has the key to unlock a door, right? But that door
Yeah.
could represent another dimension, another portal, another space. And I'm gonna tell you right now,
Mm-hmm.
you're not unlocking another dimension with like a door key. It has to be some
Right.
kind of sound, some kind of vibration, some kind of
Yeah.
something more like that, bro. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say that's what he's talking about, but it's just something to think about. But going
Yeah.
along with that, we'll talk about some of the keys, musical key characteristics. A German music theorist and composer, John Matheson, kind of laid this out in his writings way back in 1713, and they were rediscovered and by another person. And what you'll find a lot of times when it comes to music and frequencies and whatnot is that research was discovered and then lost and then rediscovered again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, honestly, that's because it's how powerful it is. Like a lot of these conversations when it comes to music, if you understand music, you understand reality. Let me just people just understand that right now. If you can
Say
understand
that again.
harmonics, notes, musical keys, you understand reality because
Yeah.
everything clicks at a certain number. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't
Um,
believe it, there's a subject called physics. It's a
exactly.
deep science around what he's talking about. It's very complicated. A lot of very
Yes,
smart guys study physics. So yeah, absolutely. So
no
yep,
doubt. We
absolutely,
can
bro.
easily say music is physics, man. That's crazy. But so what I'm going to do right now is just go through a few musical key characteristics.
Hmm.
And so the musical key, like it emotes a certain expression in the body. That's why you feel certain things with certain songs or certain instruments.
Yeah.
If you look at the harp, obviously the harp was chosen to address the evil spirit in Saul. Okay. So
Hmm.
C major, innocently happy. That's what it brings you. C minor, innocently sad, lovesick. Let's go to E major, quarrelsome, incomplete pleasure. F major, furious, quick tempered, passing regret.
Hmm.
G major, serious, magnificent, fantasy. Let's go another one. A major, joyful, pastoral, declaration of love. So as you can see, people, every single key, musical key, has a certain specific emotion attached to it. And so when songs are created, when songs are written, it's not like just some hodgepodge of let's put this sound together, this or that. No,
Right.
they're trying to evoke and promote a certain feeling, a certain
Hmm.
emotion inside of you. And that's not always a bad thing. Right? Like it's we don't I'm not saying this from a negative standpoint. I'm saying it from a positive
Hmm.
standpoint. It's like put it like this, right? What you can do. And well, let's look at it like this. It's just like a computer program where you put in your
Hmm.
codes and it unravels a program or whatever. Well, you can do the same thing with songs. The keys
Right.
induce a certain emotion. You're programming yourself with music. And sound is the code for the body's computer. It's sound. Now, you
Hmm.
could say that there's some other things with that, right? Color and stuff like that. But sound, like we said in our last episode, is pretty fundamental, pretty foundational as far as making adjustments in the human body. So, one thing that we can do is we can look at programming wise. So, if I'm seeking
Hmm.
a musical experience for a desired outcome, what I can do is I can make a playlist of certain keys. Take, for instance, let's just say that I want to feel some kind of rage. I'm about to go train. I'm gonna go crush some
Yeah.
weights or something like that. So I'm gonna find songs that are tuned that have the musical key F major. Why? F major brings about emotions of furious, quick tempered, and passing regret. Now I got to make sure I'm doing something productive
Right.
while listening to F major. I don't knock somebody out, but nonetheless, that's the key, man. It's
Mhm.
just plugging and playing. It's like a rep ski. If I'm looking to get stronger, I may not do 4x10 to grow muscle, but I might do a 5x5. Tied in together in that nature. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, Jimmy?
Perfect sense. Perfect
Yeah.
sense. And absolutely, guys. I know, again, just to touch base, piggyback off Cory a little more is I know we talk about some dark side of things to bring awareness, but not everything we talk about is just the dark side. Again, when he says like to evoke emotion and a feeling, that's also a great thing, like he mentioned before. And just think about it. How many times have you been going through something, maybe you have a rough day and like your song comes on and your mood shifts and you start to feel better in your body? You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about here. That's how powerful it is. And I talked about it last week when I used to do security and when the party would be kind of slow, kind of low energy and dead, DJ would find that one song in that right tone and the energy would get back up. So that's what we're talking about here, guys. So definitely, it's good stuff. And don't
Yeah.
listen to any, what was that, F major? If you're sitting in traffic or something like that,
About good bad news.
we want to find a different frequency if you're sitting in traffic. But yeah, it's definitely good stuff, man. It's really, really deep. And you got me thinking,
Yeah.
I just like, wow, like, I never thought about like going this deep as the music notes. I've done the different frequencies like
Right.
528, like we talked about in the past, but like going to the
Yeah.
specific notes, I mean, you're going deep there.
Yeah, man. And these notes are fundamental, and the numbers that correlate with them as well too. You know what I mean? Like it's so crazy how expansive this thing really is because you can really program anything you want. It just
Hmm.
takes extreme clarity, right? And so
Yeah.
now what I'll do is I'll kind of go into we talk about the solfeggio scale a lot, but I want to give a little bit more insight on what that's about because for those people who do want to partake in frequency therapy and whatnot, there's tons of different frequencies you can use to killing parasites, colon issues, to cancer, to COVID, to I almost said it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To muscle resonance. Like there's all kinds of different frequencies out there, but I would say, and the one that we touch on a whole lot is the solfeggio scale. And this
Hmm.
one is profound in music creation, it's profound in music theory. And so I just want to give a little bit of history behind it because it has a spiritual connotation to this scale. And so Joseph Pelio, he had a vision from God late in the 20th century. Okay. And,
Hmm.
and this gentleman was someone who studied music and whatnot. And this vision directed him to scripture. And within these scriptures, he was finding hidden codes. And he believed that these codes were musical frequencies. Okay. And these tones or frequencies were supposed to have been lost. All right. And these tones and frequencies were actually used by monks in a hymn called Hymn to St. John the Baptist in around 1000 AD. And so these are ancient sounds that we're talking about.
Hmm.
And so the tones were lost, tones were refound, all kinds of different stuff was going on. But nonetheless, these tones do have scientifically proven healing powers according to the frequency. Right now,
Hmm.
the cool thing about the solfeggio scale is that there's an original 7 frequencies. Well, that sounds like something. That sounds like the sevenfold ministry of the Holy Spirit and your 7
Right.
gateways. Okay. And so they've now expanded it to 9, but we're just gonna talk about the main 7 first. All right.
Hmm.
And so the main 7, if we want to go and just follow the sevenfold vortex style. So what I mean by that is we'll go crown to root, back up to a pineal area, and just go in a circle. And
Hmm.
the thing about this, which is interesting, is that these frequencies I've been using these for a number of years, and they truly do work.
Hmm.
But I didn't tie them into the sevenfold ministry until recently when I discovered the sevenfold. And so I was going to read the frequencies off. We said them before, starting from the crown 963 to 396, 852, back down to 417, 741 throat, 528 solar plexus area, and then 693. Now, here's the crazy part about these numbers. When you add
Hmm.
each of these numbers up, they either come out to 3, 6, or 9 when you finally reduce them all down. So
Hmm.
now here's the other crazy part. The scale in between 396, 417, 528, it all comes out to 111. 111 is his own frequency. 111 is called the holy frequency. Okay. I posted about this on my story the other day. I love 111 for relaxing. It sounds like a floor fan. Like you just go right to sleep to it. For those people who love listening to the fan to go to sleep,
Yeah.
it has a heavy vibrational pattern in the body. It's very calming, and it is well researched as far as inducing endorphins in the body after listening as well too. So that's that. But going back to
What's
the
that
solfeggio
frequency
snare.
again? You said 111.
111, 111, super simple, 111. And for our listeners, like just for a recovery session, say you got done training, you got some time, some downtime to just sit down, whether you're sitting on the couch, you're grounding, whatever, just tap into
Mm-hmm.
111 for maybe 10 to 20 minutes, man. And I'm telling you right now, like it feels like a massage throughout your body. Turn that bad boy
Right.
up because it's not a high frequency. You don't have to have it on like a low volume or whatever. It's more of it's kind of like a body feel. I don't want to say body
Mhm.
high, but it is what it is. Like that's what it
Yeah.
feels like. It's very grounding. It's very calming. And 111 has been found in different spaces of the world, like healing chambers, cathedrals, churches, to where that's where those rooms resonated too. So they were
Hmm.
literally healing folks. You go to a service or whatever, but there was already a healing presence in there by way of frequency. So that's pretty crazy to me.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, man. Any questions so far? I'll just keep going on the solfeggio.
No, yeah, no, keep going. I just wanted to make sure that we had that frequency because I want to check it out myself too. I actually
Yeah,
never done the 111, believe it or
the
not.
one
So
the
make sure the
111 is
listeners got
fire.
it, got it as well. Yes,
111 is
sir.
fire. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so what I'll do then is I'll just kind of go down the list as far as the solfeggio note. And we talked about these before, the different areas of the body, but I just want to tie it into the sevenfold. If you look at the sevenfold, right? First in the spirit of life, we know that's the crown area. If you are addressing that, so what you do with these frequencies, man, is you have to come into a spiritual intention with the frequency. You have to
Yeah.
allow the frequency to take place. You just can't be, drunk somewhere saying, I want to listen to this sound. I'm going to be undrunk. No, it doesn't work like that. This is a it don't work like that. This is a meditative practice. This is a
Yeah.
spiritual practice. This is holy work. Okay. You are tapping into the unseen realm when you work with music. That's why I hate this. I shouldn't say hate, but I strongly dislike where sound therapy is going in the performance space because
Mhm.
it's not revered as sacred. And so nobody
Mhm.
understands it. Like people
Yeah.
understand something. People are possessed by music. Man. People are possessed
Yeah.
by sound, and so we people just kind of like play around with this stuff. Like, oh, let me listen to this, and I'll just feel better. No, that's not the case. So let's tie it
Right.
into the sevenfold. All right. So sevenfold. First is the spirit of life. Your crown. If you are seeking a spiritual experience in that way with the Lord. 63 hertz is your frequency. 963 is actually called the frequency of God. Why it's called that, I'm not sure. But when you tie in the sevenfold, the people who say this stuff may not even know. The reason why, first is the spirit of life. What was breathed into us? Ruach, the spirit of life, right? The Holy Spirit. So maybe that's why it's called the frequency of God, and nobody even knows what they're talking about. 3 is the frequency that you want to address for your crown energy center there. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, we'll actually work just straight down so it doesn't confuse anybody. So instead of
Okay.
doing our normal vortex, we'll do the linear thing. Not promoting the chakra system, but we're gonna go linear now. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're gonna go straight down to 852. 852 is a frequency most people use when they seek out a spiritual experience. Now, let's talk about that. What is
Mhm.
area is this that what people call third eye or pineal gland? What spirit is there? Spirit of counsel. If you are having a hard time hearing from the Holy Spirit, you're having a hard time getting spiritual revelation. You're having a hard time, kind of just like blocking out all that outside noise. Maybe you want a sound session at 852 hertz. 852 hertz is pretty sharp. I'm not gonna lie to you people. It's pretty sharp.
Mhm.
It's gonna really address the mind, really address the pineal gland. So you really want to make sure that you're in a good space when you listen to that one, because guess what? There is spiritual warfare going on when you listen to these sounds. It's just like when
Mhm.
David played the harp. It wasn't just magic, boom, the spirit's gone. That was spiritual warfare going on when he played the harp. And so it's the same thing with us when we listen to certain sounds, man. And so sometimes, and I want people to understand, sometimes when you listen to certain frequencies, depending on what's going on inside your body, inside your spirit, you might feel kind of jacked up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. You may have a headache. You may have tinnitus. You may feel nauseous. Like
Mhm.
this is all physical manifestation of spiritual warfare going inside the body. That's how powerful this stuff is. All good there, Jimmy?
Yeah, all good. Good
Awesome,
stuff. And
brother.
yeah, don't be freaked out. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about some of the ascension symptoms because
Yes.
when I first got into this space and I was feeling those, it freaked me out a little bit. Corey's just kind of warning you, like, yeah, like this is the battle that goes on internally, but just know that it's not abnormal. It can be part of the process, so you don't have to freak out. Oh no, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
These two don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
No, we're just
Yeah, your
preparing you.
dreams might be a little trippy that night. You might feel uncomfortable. It is what it is, man. Like it's it is what it is. So moving down to the throat. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. I actually like listening to this one before I train. If I'm feeling a little sick, I've had a number of athletes that I put them on a 741. So that's the one that we're going into. I put them on a 741 protocol when they started to feel sick, and they came out of their sickness a lot faster than if they didn't. So 741 addresses your throat area. Now, the interesting part about this is that not only does it do that, but it also is a detox frequency. So it addresses toxins deep inside your cells. It also helps with self-expression. Why? Well, your throat area. We had a whole episode talking about how important the throat area is between your head and your body. So let's be mindful of that there. Um, understanding that's what 741 does. I love 741. I can listen to 741 all the time. You'll actually feel when you listen to the pure tone. Let me help people out real quick. If you really want the true experience of frequency meditation, or sound sessions, you want to listen to what's called pure tone. Pure
Okay.
tone is the frequency by itself. If you listen to
Mm.
the frequency that is carried by another frequency that may be like I don't know, like a wind chime or something, it's not
Uh-huh.
the same as if you listen to pure tone. When you
Okay.
listen to 741 pure tone, you actually feel the vibration in your throat. I'm telling y'all, you actually
Interesting.
feel it right there. Okay, it's pretty powerful. Now, on the flip side of pure tone, when you listen to pure tone, we're talking about those ascension symptoms. You really might feel jack. I'm telling y'all, people, I can't say it enough. When you try this stuff out, be in a good
Yeah.
space. Be chilling. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just letting you know. The farther removed you are from the Spirit of God, the farther you are removed from your highest self, the farther you
Mm.
are removed from how you should be operating on this earth, the deeper it's going to hit you. I'm going to tell you now, because whatever parasites, whether they be demonic, physical, whatever the case may be, whatever is sitting inside your body that is keeping
Yeah.
you stuck in your routine, that sound is going to punch that thing in the mouth. And that thing is not going to like that sound. And so within your body is going to be spiritual warfare. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's just I'll leave that there and I'll keep on moving on. So yeah, so that was 741. We're gonna go right into a 639 now. 639, excuse me,
Hmm.
is a frequency. And here's the thing I want people to understand as well too. Like these frequencies just aren't like, oh, it's only this area of the body. Say there's a
Hmm.
spectrum. Okay, everything's a blend. So 639 is a frequency of love. It heals relationships, just like 528. Like 528 is called the frequency of love, but 639 sits in that heart area. It's a blend with 528, which we'll talk about quite a bit. But nonetheless, it helps heal relationships, those holes that you have in your heart, if you will, if you want to call it that. That's what it addresses, right? Like that heart center. Yeah. So that's that one. I personally haven't spent too much time on 639. I actually spend a lot more time on the next one, and that is 528.
Hmm.
528 is probably the most profound frequency on earth. Between 528 and 432, those are the ones talked about the most. 528
Hmm.
resonates with the color green. It is a frequency of love. It helps repair DNA.
Hmm.
It not only that, but for my men out there, listen to this. 28 has been researched and studied to promote testosterone production in mice. This is well researched on PubMed. You can find this online. They played 528 for mice. I think it was mice instead of rats. I think it was mice. And what 528 does, it'll also address your pituitary gland. And we know that your testosterone starts in your pituitary gland.
Hmm.
So if you want a testosterone boost over time, listen to 528. And it heals the DNA as well too. Okay, so 528 is powerful. I tell people all the time, if you want to start off with sound therapy, my suggestion is to either start off with 528 or 432. That's my
Hmm.
suggestion. Start right there in the middle. That 528 is like your heart, solar plexus area. So it's going to address you right there in the body. But again, what I want people to understand is that when you listen to this frequency, like you may go on an emotional journey because that's the area that it's addressing. And Jimmy, didn't I put you
Hmm.
on a 528 protocol?
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Man, it was for me, it was a lot of reflection, like a lot of things were just popping up. But I've done a lot of work on the emotional side of things. So for me,
Sure.
it was more like a lot of dots started to connect. And I was able to get myself to like a really grounded space, especially with things that may have triggered me in the past. I was
Mhm.
able to have more clarity and not make it mean something that it wasn't based on like past like emotional trauma, able to like kind of see what it is, separate the
Mhm.
facts from the story, and
Yeah,
move with more conviction through the
yeah,
process. So yeah, man, it was really powerful.
yeah, yeah, and I love listening to 528, man. It's a frequency of miracles. There's so much going on there, and it's interesting. I think even Psalm, what's crazy, if I go to Psalm 52, I think it's 52:8. This is trippy, man. Let me see if it's 52:8. Okay, yes. So my version doesn't say it, but Psalm 528, my version says, "But I am like an olive tree flourishing in the house of God. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever." I believe the King James version actually says, "I am like a green olive tree." And what color
Oh,
resonates
okay.
with 528? Green. Like, come on, man. So maybe this is what um, the guy Joseph Puleo was discovering when he was led to these different verses in the Bible. Is like certain verses have resonance in the Bible. They have resonance in our space. So that's really cool right
Yeah.
there. But yeah, people, 528 is a great one. The next one is very powerful as well too. It addresses your sacral. This is 417. So 417 hertz actually clears negative energy in the body. And it's funny because like 417, right? So that sacral plexus area. What do we think about when it comes to the sevenfold ministry? Spirit of might right there in the stomach. So a
Mhm.
lot of your now this is where the whole parasite conversation gets very interesting. But there's a lot of people that say parasites are physical manifestations of demons in the body. Now, if we
Okay.
look at the music theory behind 417, and we look at the
Hmm.
sevenfold ministry, that kind of checks the box because what 417 does is it clears negative energy in the body. And so by way of it clearing negative energy in the body, those parasites can be considered negative energy. And
Mm.
if you look at the area of the body, the sacral plexus, that's your stomach area. So there's a
Yeah.
correlation there that might be pretty factual as far as parasites being demonic entities manifesting in the physical by way of
Hmm.
food, by way of things that we ingest um, through our mouth, right? And so, and we talk about taming the tongue and all that type of stuff. But if you are going on a detox protocol for my people out there, all right, I'm just kind of hitting you with random stuff, and then you can plug and play however you see fit. But if you're going on a detox protocol, if you notice 741, which I talked about, can kill out or remove toxins out of cells. Those are the same three numbers as 417.
Mm.
17 removes negative energy in the body, especially in that sacral plexus area. So we can ask the question, does the numbers 1, 4, and 7 have something to do with removing toxins out of the body? And so then what you do is you look at those numbers from a musical scale standpoint, what keys they hold, all that type of stuff. And it's like now we have a script for kind of structuring a detox protocol using numerology, using frequencies, and they all tie into one. So before we go into the last one, people, I just want to give you a detox protocol real quick. And I know Jimmy usually asks me that question at the end as far as what's one thing,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
gonna give something right now.
Give it right now. Give them the game.
Here we go. Okay. So what you want to do is just go on a 24-hour fast. Okay. A 24-hour
Okay.
fast. After 12 hours of that fast, I want you to do a sound session with 741. 741 first. Okay. The sound session will consist of you just hanging, chilling, whatever. You want to make sure you're hydrated, so we can go water. That's no problem at all. Okay. Sound session. Let's do 21 minutes of 741 just chilling, just hanging out. You probably want to be laying down because number one, you're empty. There's nothing in your body,
Yeah.
and then you don't know how this thing's going to hit you. Okay.
Right.
And then after the 12 hours are over, the next 12 hours. So once your 24 hours are over, before you break your fast, let's go ahead and go with another 4-1. Let's go with 417 for another 21 minutes. Okay. Now,
Okay.
if you want to wait another hour or whatever for that frequency to set in your body and do what it does, that's totally okay. If you want to break your fast immediately, then that's okay as well too. But listen to those two frequencies the next time you go on like a 24-hour fast or detox or something like that, and allow the sound to work spiritually in your body. Now, with all that being said, people, I don't know what's going to happen to you. I don't. I don't. Everybody's on their own frequency. Everybody resonates at their own frequency. So when you inject frequencies into the body, sound into the body, we don't know what's going to happen. Now, are you going to convulse and whatnot? I hope not. If there is, then you might need to
Right.
go see a pastor immediately because you need to be
Yeah.
delivered.
Find your nearest church.
You need to be dipped into Jordan. So that might be what you need to do. But pay attention to your body. Does your skin start to itch?
Mhm.
Does your stomach have stomach pains? Does your head begin to hurt? If that's the case, your body is telling you where it needs to be, what needs to be addressed. So certain
Mhm.
things are going to manifest in your body, and guess what? Then you need to address that by way of the sevenfold. The sevenfold ministry is a map of the body, people. It's a map. And so if my neck's starting to itch, then guess what? I'm going to look back at the sevenfold and say, oh well, spirit of speech, which comes knowledge. Maybe I need to watch my tongue. Maybe I need to address how I'm talking. If my stomach starts to hurt, oh well, obviously I need to carry this fast on for a little bit longer, or go on a cleansing diet and eat more fruit, so that I'm digesting all those parasites and whatnot outside of my body. Like that's the part about this that's so cool. Is it's not just like it's a Bible thing, spiritual. No, the sevenfold ministry is a map of the human body, which extends from the throne room of heaven. That's what's so cool about it. And so when you listen to a certain song or a certain frequency, and there's something begins to rumble or jumble in your body, you need to pay attention to what that is, because your body's telling you, hey, there is a spirit that is not of the Spirit of God inside of me, and we need to get it outside of our body, outside of my
Mhm.
body. Does that make sense, Jimmy?
Absolutely. Perfect sense. And
Awesome, brother.
hey guys, definitely, take notes, rewind if you need to about that detox protocol. And also, I know we're throwing a lot at you. Just want to let you know I put a lot of this stuff in the description of the episode too. So you can copy and paste, plug and play. So you always have a reference point too. So just want to throw that out for the listeners, because I know we're throwing a lot of information at you at once. So you can sometimes be like, oh man, what did he say? So check the description box of the episode, and it'll be in there for you as well.
Okay, yeah, bro. So no, that's perfect what you're saying. So what we'll do now is we'll go right into the last one, and it's 396.
Okay.
And this is your root energy center, or spirit of desire. This is where that red, that lower vibrational energy, but that is so strong. Drums resonate in this area, adrenaline. There's two more frequencies that were added on. So the 9 scale is 285 and 174. And I'm not gonna say like those things aren't good. Like they work great. It's just the original 7 scale, which matches with the sevenfold ministry of the Holy Spirit, stops at 396. I actually love listening to the 285 for recovery. 174 is great for recovery as well too, but 396 is the final one on the sevenfold. And 396 basically just a frequency that removes guilt, stabilizes the body, right? We talk about all the time. It's just how, like, certain emotions are stored in your lower extremities, which creates instability in joints, right?
Mm.
Insecurity athletes' personalities are a byproduct of instability in their joints, and vice versa. Okay. So first starts with the emotion. So that means that the insecurity manifests in instability. That's why sometimes we have ACL injuries, hip injuries, lower extremity injuries in female athletes, male athletes who have insecurity problems. Why? It's an emotion. That's where it's held at. All right. And so if you want to clear that, if you're going through a phase where you're reestablishing yourself, you're regrounding yourself, you're restabilizing yourself and restabilizing your identity, you want to tap into 396. Spend a lot of time in the color red when you do that,
Mhm.
because that's going to increase that vitality. It's going to help ground you. It's also going to bring about some aggression, but you got to channel that aggression in the right way so that you are stabilizing yourself and coming into terms with your I am, your identity. And we know that identity eventually leads back to identity in Christ. Um, I know that was kind of a lot of rambling. People, feel free to go back, rewind, take notes. There's tons of research on this online. You can. We're just giving you the very basic breakdown as far as the solfeggio scale and how it aligns with the sevenfold ministry. And so, yeah, man, I think that's kind of good right there, Jim. As far as breaking those 7 down.
Yeah, no, that was great stuff, great information. And as you guys can see, that these tools can help you in so many different areas in your life, and take advantage of it, because that music that you're listening to, you're driving to work or whatever, like, it's cool, could be entertaining, but what if you were intentional and use that time to listen to a tool that can help you process, you know, an emotion, or even maybe you got something coming up you need to really get dialed in, right? And it can listen to a frequency that really taps into that part of your body, get your nervous system just in that flow state, so you could be at your best, especially my athletes out there, or maybe, you're in the sales or something, you got a big presentation coming up, whatever. What if you're more intentional with these things that, you're going to do anyway? You're going to listen to something, you're going to be on your phone. What if we just made a little shift? How much different would your life be, right, if you were to implement this, what we're talking about? Right, there's so many people right now, and we see it all the time, like they're looking for something, they're looking for, to be better. They're wondering why the relationships, they keep attracting, a toxic person in their life, or they keep wondering why their money, seems to be stuck, or they just have this feeling in their body that's not going away. What if, I'm just posing a question to you guys. What if you start to take some of those habits that aren't serving you and just fill them in with some of the tools we're talking about? How much different your life will be. And this comes from somebody who's done the work. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be significantly better.
Yes.
Somebody who's done
Yes.
the work.
Yes.
We're not just a couple guys who just read a couple research papers and like, hey, let's tell the world about this. Like, no, we've been doing this on ourselves for years, right? And
Yeah.
we incorporated with our clients with good results. So we test everything that we're talking about, right? So we're saying this from a place of like of love, a place of service. Like, hey guys, like you're already gonna be on your phone, you're already gonna be listening to something. Let's give it a try. Let's be intentional, make a shift, use some of these tools. Again, I'm going to have the breakdown in the description for you guys, so you don't have to memorize it. You just scroll down, look in the description, and do the protocol Cory talked about, or maybe one of the other frequencies. Like, you know what? Maybe, I have been dealing with this. Let me listen to this for 21 minutes, right? Do it for 7 days. See how different you feel. And I promise you, it's going to benefit you. Like if we get more intentional with these practices, that's how we're going to see a shift in the collective, right? It's not about
Yes.
not always about reading more books or going to different retreats and seminars. Like this, all like cool stuff, but all change starts within. It starts with what you see in the mirror. And if each one takes that time and they do this work themselves, and like Cory mentioned, everybody has their own frequency, they have their own resonance right now. We're all unique, we all have different gut biome, fingerprints, all that. We're all very unique, right? So, but if we all go within first and we do that inner work, and we talked about this in, I believe, episode 2, our aura, right? We get that shift in our aura, the shift in the collective, because now energetically we're showing up different because we've done the work with ourselves. And that's how change is made. That's how, we're going to see a shift in the collective, the energy. We can get more people closer to God. That's how this is going to happen. It starts with us. So I pose that challenge to
Yep.
you guys. It's like, add this stuff in, guys. And I want you to comment how well it works for you, how differently you feel, what shifts that you noticed, and it's going to be powerful. Now, I will say, like Cory mentioned, disclaimer, in the beginning, it may be a little tough. Some of those emotions that come up you may have to sit with it, but that's a beautiful thing, because what that is, it's literally moving through your body and it's trying to come out.
Yeah.
And I want to say this really for men, because women are more, emotionally attuned. They allow themselves to feel the feelings. Us men, we like to suppress. Once it starts to come up, let it keep flowing. If it's rage, if it's sadness, if it's grief, whatever, let it come up, because it's trying to come out. That's why Cory said, make sure you do it in a space that's safe and that's grounded, because you never know how it's going to
Yeah.
hit you. But once you get through that part, you feel so much lighter. You feel more energized. You stand taller. Again, you have a different aura about you. And that's why this work is so, so, so important. So definitely, Cory gave you guys some really, really, really good games, some great tools that you can use. And yeah, man, I'd say we threw a lot of information out there. We don't want to overwhelm them. I know you talked about the detox protocol already, so definitely go back and implement that. But let me ask you this, as somebody who has done this work, what's some of the biggest benefits that you've seen, that since you've done like different frequencies, like just I would like to hear like one of your, like, or maybe even one of your athletes that you worked with, where you kind of implemented a frequency protocol, and like what was their outcome? I'm just curious, because you've done, a lot of different ones.
Yeah. So the first and foremost, bro, like before I answer that question, I want to just tell the people none of this stuff, and Jimmy mentioned it, but none of this stuff works without intent.
Yes.
You have to have intention when you train. You have to have intention how you live. You have to have intention when you go into whatever task that you have, especially when it comes to this stuff. Like we gave you the blueprint as far as what's being addressed in different parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you listen to a certain frequency, what I would do is literally write down things that I may struggle with in regards to that frequency or that area of the body or whatever, put it on paper, come into resonance with it. You don't have to agree with it, but nonetheless, it's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that's what you're seeking to feel. And just like Jim said, don't run from that. Like don't push it away. It's part of you.
Yeah.
And what will stay, and what will leave. That's why you have to allow the Holy Spirit to guide you, allow the Holy Spirit to move you, and allow that whole session to take place. But you have to have intent. Your mind and your heart have to come into coherence, heart brain coherence, right? It's like it talks about in the Bible. You have to come into coherence with whatever it is you're trying to accomplish or get done or alleviate or whatever. Okay. So I'll answer that question now, Jimmy. There's a lot of athletes that I put on frequencies, man, and the first thing that changes is their sleep.
Okay.
Okay. That's the very first thing that changes. Deeper sleep, more restful sleep. Because if you think about it, right, what vibration frequency is if I take a cup of water and I flick that cup, it's going to create a ripple in the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening inside of our bodies, because why? We're made of water.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is restabilize and restructure the water that is inside of us, which is the vibration. We want to restructure the vibration. And the first telltale sign that you will see when you do that appropriately or correctly is your sleep. You're going to have deeper sleep. You're going to have maybe more vivid dreams.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, yeah, like you may have some ascension symptoms and all that type of stuff, but really the sleep is the telltale sign because that's when your subconscious takes over. And if we can address the subconscious and put you in a more enlightened state, governed by the Spirit of the Lord by way of frequency, then we can start changing everything else. Just had an athlete run right now, Jimmy. Is where we had to pause the thing, right? A Navy battle, who's an Olympian, she's a professional track star now. Just won her fourth race, I want to say, in the Diamond League this year in Paris. She's undefeated this year. And so, like, she's one of my frequency athletes. I put her on her frequency. This has been a 2 to 3 year process as far as her being on frequencies. I've had other athletes on frequencies. Like sound therapy works, man. Sound sessions work. It's all about the intent behind it. You're not just checking a box. You're actually tapping into the spiritual space, the unseen space, and allowing sound to do its job in the body. It's not necessarily steroids, man. It's not like a anabolic quick trick. That's not what it
Right.
is. However, it allows the soul to remember who it is,
Mm.
the light body, and when you start operating out of the light body, then your physical body, right, your formed body starts being adapted, and then you're kind of on steroids by way of sound. So it's kind of like it's pretty trippy, but it does work that way. It just takes intention.
I love it. I love it. And I think that's huge. You talked about sleep because I always say sleep is the superpower that most people don't take advantage of. And there's so many people who struggle getting good sleep. I know I struggle with sleep for so many years. And we see the vicious cycle, right? People, they get low quality sleep. What they do first thing in the morning, they pound a bunch of caffeine. They're taking Adderall, they're doing all these sorts of things to
Mhm.
try to get more energy with all these different stimulants throughout the day just to get through. And then they're essentially just pouring gas on the fire because now your nervous system's hopped up on stimulants and stress from a work day and all that. Your cortisol is all elevated. Well, now you can't fall asleep. And then the cycle repeats itself. So getting better quality sleep, that alone is going to shift a lot of things in your life. I mean, I know somebody who overweight, had sleep apnea. They finally got him on a CPAP, lost 10 pounds just by getting better sleep. Like that's how powerful sleep is. It benefits in
Wow.
so many ways. So
Wow.
absolutely. So even at a minimum, like just doing this, if you get better sleep out of this, that's going to change your life. It's going to improve your health. It's going to improve your performance. It's going to improve how you look. But trust me, there's a lot of other benefits that come with it. So with that said, do the protocols, comment your journey. We'd love to hear the stories. We definitely want to hear the success stories. And if there's a way that we can help support you through it as well, comment and let us know or send us a private message so we can definitely coach you up and so you can get the most out of it. Because this
Yes.
is really for everybody, not just Olympic athletes like Cory or myself work with, but it's for the soccer mom. It's for, the dad. It's the business owner, whomever. Again, this is universal and it comes from the Most High. And that's why we share
Yes.
this with you guys. So we appreciate you guys for rocking with us. And we got some more heat coming for you guys next week. So stay tuned. Make sure if you're not following the show, hit the follow button, share it with your people. Somebody needs to hear this message. Until next time, guys, we're checking out.